Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to a brand new season of my show, Rebels, Dark Tales, and the Strange and Unexplained Phenomena of the South Mountains of North Carolina. I am your host, cryptid researcher and cryptid field investigator, aspiring author, and lifelong outdoorsman, Kaiser Rebel. Now tonight I'm going to tell you about an encounter that falls within my favorite category of cryptid encounters, and that is the roadside sighting. Now, this appeals to me for a couple of good reasons. First of all, my first visual encounter, was a roadside sighting. But secondly, this type of encounter is so far out of context for what's going on when the encounter happens. Let me explain. You're riding down the road, any one of a million thoughts on your mind. You may be listening to music, and suddenly, up ahead, you see a silhouette of something that doesn't register as making sense. You get closer and closer, and you discover that you're looking at the unexplained. Last year, a gentleman reached out to me whose name is Kelly, and he had saw one of my episodes that involved a roadside encounter, and it resonated with him. You see, he had had this roadside encounter, but he had stayed silent about it to everyone in the entire world except for his wife. He told her what happened and swore her to secrecy. But he said that he needed to talk to somebody about it that had some kind of basis of knowledge on the subject. And I certainly told him that I was glad to hear about his encounter. Kelly is a man in his mid-30s, and he works in the tech industry. He was born and raised a city boy in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia. He married a Southern gal and wound up moving to Western North Carolina, settling in a suburb just outside of Hickory, North Carolina. Now, so many of my witnesses have at least a nominal history of being in the outdoors. You know, maybe sometimes camping or hiking or just living in the country. But Kelly had absolutely none of these things. He had none of that history. He said that he remembers once as a child going with his friend's family, staying in their super large camper in a civilized campground somewhere in Virginia. But that was the extent of his experience in the outdoors. And to add to this, Kelly confessed to me that prior to this incident, he was a complete and total non-believer. As I said, he works in the tech field, and he holds a degree in the field. Through and through, he said he was a science guy. And if science said that it didn't exist, or even that it was a complete myth, that's what he went with. But he said that evening in question would completely and totally change his outlook on all of that. It was September of 2023 in the evening, about 10 minutes before the sun dipped below the trees, and Kelly had been on a trip to the town of Rutherford, North Carolina, on a contracting job involving technical support. And on his way back around the western end of the South Mountains, he decided to just go off the beaten path and drive around some. The mountains were certainly beautiful. South Mountains is a huge place, 100,000 acres of mountain range. And he just started driving, enjoying the scenery. And as Kelly drove, just enjoying the scenery, the sun dipping low behind him, he saw something ahead on the left side of the road. And he had some first thoughts, and in his words, I'll give you his words exactly. He said, "It occurred to me that I should have been seeing more than what I was seeing." And he said, "Let me explain. I was seeing what looked like a blacked out silhouette." He said that it instantaneously reminded him of the cutouts that are very popular now. The cutouts that's in the silhouette of a Bigfoot creature. And he said he was sure that's exactly what he was seeing until it moved. It turned and started walking across the road. As he got closer, he realized that he was now seeing it from its side profile as it stepped across the road. He said it took one long, slow step and was almost completely to the other side of the road. But by then, he could see clearly, in detail. Whatever he was looking at was hair-covered and was extremely, extremely huge. Kelly said that the thought occurred to him that he might be witnessing some hoaxers, but that it dawned on him that if it was a hoaxer doing this, that it was a freakishly large human being, both in terms of height and on how broad and thick that it was. Kelly said that the physical dimensions of this creature overwhelmed him. And he went on to say, quote, "My science faith failed me in that moment." As Kelly approached the creature was now completely off the road right next to the wood line and had stopped with his back to the road. And I'll share with you something that really intrigues me about this case, other than the obvious, is the fact that Kelly, right there where this creature was, that he slowed his car almost to a complete stop. And Kelly testified to me that outright that he was in total shock, and that he was frightened and terrified almost to a wit's end. And he stated to me, and I'll use his words here, "I'm puzzled still to this day that I didn't floor the accelerator and keep going. But I was so locked in and focused on what I was seeing." And Kelly went on to say, "I do not know if it was total shock or that I was enveloped by the ultimate curiosity, but I was almost totally stopped in the road, and that creature could have easily reached my car in less than one step." Then as Kelly was right up beside this creature, the creature turned its upper torso and its head and looked over its right shoulder, dead at Kelly, right in his eyes. And in one fleeting moment, Kelly saw the details of this creature's face as he looked it in the eyes. He said that most of his face was hairless, and that some of the hair kind of hung from the top and the sides in a stringy manner, kind of framing its face in a very terrifying manner. But the feature of the creature's face that struck him the most, that struck even more fear into him, was the creature's eyes. He said that there was a kind of a pale red glow coming from the creature's eyes. And Kelly told me, in his words, "I'm not sure what I felt, but it was more than fear. I had never felt like it before in my life, and I haven't felt like it since, other than when I relive the moment." Then the creature simply turned and stepped into the woods. Kelly rolled slowly up the road just a short distance and then completely stopped. He thinks that maybe it was 20 yards or so past where the creature had been standing. And he just sat in his car and turned over his shoulder and was just looking back at where the creature had been. But now the creature was totally gone, disappeared into the wood line. He sat there, his heart beating out of his chest, but that he had this odd, crazy urge. He felt his hand move to the shifter to put it in reverse. This urge wanted him to back up to the spot where the creature had been standing. Kelly said, in his words, "I wanted to, even though I was terrified. It's hard to explain that weird urge that just overwhelmed me, but I could not move my hand to put that car in reverse." And Kelly slowly pulled away, looking at his rearview mirror for a minute or so. And he stayed in deep, deep thought for the remainder of his 35-minute trip back home. Kelly reported to me that to this day he has dreams, bad dreams, about this encounter. In one version, his car died, and creature comes toward the car and breaks the window. In version 2 of the dream, as Kelly's eyes are locked on the creature, then suddenly, from the left side of the road, another creature steps out, and then another, and then another. But strangest of all is what Kelly reports that is an ongoing thing, that at odd times of the day and night, but usually at night, sometimes even waking up in the middle of the night, Kelly said that this urge will grab him. And the urge tells him to go back to that spot immediately and to pull the car over, park the car, and to go into those woods. And Kelly has indeed gone back to that spot on a number of occasions, several times during the day and twice during the night. And each time he says that he got there and that urge became more powerful than ever. Pull the car over, park it, get out, and go into those woods. But that something, and he's not sure exactly what it is. Maybe it's the fear. Maybe it's just the unknown. Or maybe it's something that he just can't describe. But whatever it is, keeps him from stopping his car and getting out and going into those woods by himself. And my counsel to him, and my counsel to you, if I were you, I would stay out of these dark Appalachian woods at night by yourself. I appreciate you. This is Kaiser Rebel, and I'll see you next time.